Absolute Audio. I'm Luke, come in. So this is my studio, and I wanted to film this because I'm going to be tearing it down and moving it into a bigger space this month. So I've worked really hard on this room and wanted to document what I've done and talk a little bit about why I've done it. So without further ado, I'm just going to walk around the room in a circle and talk a little bit about it. If the lighting is off or the sound is off, that's something you'll have to deal with. The name of my company is Absolute Audio. Absolute Video is a goal that's on my horizon, so that'll have to wait. The ambiance of the room has always been really important to me. I don't like to just work in a space that's not very inspiring, so I paint the walls dark and I hang artwork everywhere that I grew up being influenced by. So if you come in, you'll see over here is Frazetta, Larry Elmore, occult artwork and symbolism. There's Raphael over here, Kandinsky, Keith Parkinson, and of course Giger. So the room has to create an atmosphere that's conducive to my creativity, and I think it adds quite a bit to my output and my productivity, which is usually pretty fast. I like to write in bulk and really quickly, and I work alone, so I don't have a whole lot of time to make mistakes. So come on in. I'm going to start over here with the drum set. This is an Alesis Dm10x. It has dual zone triggers, so I can get a lot of sounds out of it. I use it to control Easy Drummer 2, Addictive Drums 2, and of course Superior Drummer 3. And I'll be honest, I don't play them a whole lot. I'm not nearly as good of a drummer as all the MIDI packs and stuff that I pull from. I do use a lot of MIDI and drum editing software to create my music. Down here there's a couple of the entry-level orange amps. Those are fun. They give me a little, different taste of sound. I feel like dragging out my microphones and put my preamps in front of them. So there's a lot of flexibility in the room. Often I'll work in the box because I work really fast. So I use amplitude 5 and I try to just capture the moment. Recording to me is about capturing the moment rather than nitpicking over every last detail. This is my main workstation right here. It's got a lot of synthesizers within arm's reach. I try to keep everything within arm's reach. This is a touchscreen 27-inch monitor. You can see I've got Arturia's Fairlight pulled up here. I'm trying to make entire songs just using this Fairlight, kind of like Ministry and Peter Gabriel and stuff did in the 80s. It's an amazing sounding plug-in. It really defined a lot of the music that influenced me. The DeepMind 12, Korg TR-88 with the weighted keys is super nice. This is a MS-20 that's just a controller. I run the Korg Legacy software. The Korg Legacy software with the Wave Station and the MS-20 and the Poly 6 is a lot of fun. The Radius over there, that thing's way too deep for all the options it has. That could be my only synth really, but I've decided to have 50 others. The Commodore 64 with the Messiah cartridge in the back, so I've got an extra SID chip right here if I get around to soldering that onto here. I'll have a 6-voice polyphonic synth rather than 3. And then here's the 2600 with the synth cart. It's annoying as hell, but it's cool in theory, being able to use the 2600 as a synthesizer. Not very intuitive to use it, as you might imagine. I use Reaper. I use Reaper to make all my music. I was Pro Tools certified about 20 years ago or so, and when Pro Tools went to a subscription model, I quit using it, and I switched to Reaper, and I never looked back. The rack's almost full. The Moog Theremin's on top. I got a couple Pultec clones, ARTs, tube compressor, the Proteus 2000 JV series from Roland, 4-op synth, FM synth from Yamaha, the FB01. That's a fun acquired taste. And somehow I skipped right over my favorite synth, this one right here, the DX7. This one's got some quirks. I really don't want to fix it because it's got its quirks. The battery discharges every time you swap it out because of a bad diode next to it. So every time I turn it on, I have to tune it and load sounds to the internal memory from the cartridge. But I love this synth. I use it with Dext as the librarian. I've got about 700 or 800,000 preset banks that I can shove into it. So really no lack of inspiration there. Back to the rack, I've got 4 rack-based reverbs and delays tied into my mixing board here. The Lexicon, the SRV 2000, and then this cool one from Korg, the DRV, whatever it is, 3000 with a remote control. Again, it's just, you know, stuff from the late 80s, early 90s that it's not a pristine sound, it's not a polished sound, it's rougher and it's grittier, and it's the music that I enjoy. The pristine sound and some of the high-end stuff that I have in the studio is this Presonus Quantum running Thunderbolt on a new PC I just built. It's an AMD something or other, and 32 gigs of RAM, so it can definitely handle everything I throw at it. The ISA2 from Focusrite, a couple 1073 clones from Golden Age for my preamps, 2 1073 pre's, a 1073 EQ and a 1081 EQ, a couple of the cheap tube preamps from ART, and then another tube preamp from ART. Kind of rounds out the rack. I like to have some decent preamps on the front of my recording chain. They're really not nearly as important as the microphones, which are in here. The AT4050s I'm a huge fan of. Those are usually my go-to mic. The Neumann U87 is definitely the jewel in the crown. SM57, some Octavas, pencil condensers. This guy from Neumann, the KM184, 609, NT1A, and I always forget what this one is. The Shure KSM137. I don't drag out the mics a whole lot, but because I'm not doing a lot of vocals right now. But I learned to record and mix on this console, the Mackie 32 channel 8 bus. It gets a lot of shit online for it not sounding good. Well, I don't necessarily mix on it unless I have to, which I usually don't. I really enjoy that it has the same signal flow as just about any other big console, large format console. And again, all my synths, I use it as a big patch bay. All my synthesizers, reverbs, preamps, everything runs through it. And then I'm using the ADA 8000s from Behringer coming out on the optical cables back into it on the mix channel, so I can do a mix down and listen to my work on the NS10Ms. So the Alesis monitors over there are really flattering. I've mixed on those for probably 20 years. It was my first set. It's my second set of monitors. I blew the first pair up for mixing too loud, and these are good. These are a nice humbling alternative. And then over here is all my mono synths, semi-modular mono synthesizers, an actual MS-20 rather than the controller, the Moog Minitar, the DD500 I've got ran through the mixer as an alternative delay and reverb, the Neutron and the Model D from Behringer, and then of course the Matrix group. This is a great synth. It just about beats everything else on the market to death with its attitude. I just picked up this Poly 800. It's not hooked up to anything. It's a cool 8-voice synthesizer. It's been around since '83. Someone did a mod to it, and I've got to fix it because the resonance doesn't work. What else? Oh, what's back here? Triple rectifier. So definitely the loudest amp that I've ever owned. It's way too big for this room. I've got the TS9 tube screamer in front of it, and then the Roland Mt-32. If anyone remembers playing DOS games in the 80s and 90s, you could select the Sound Blaster or the Roland Mt-32, and your games would sound slightly better. It would use linear, what was it called, linear algorithm or LA synthesis, whatever it was, similar to the D50. That's the one synth that I don't have that I kind of want to round out my 80s nonsense. My cat down here is Chuck Biscuits, named after the legendary drummer. He is a survivor of pancreatitis, and he plays the drums better than I do. Let me see if I can get back here to talk about my guitars. And here's a new, I just got this Jackson Randy Rhoads V. I'm not going to get it out because I'd have to rearrange the room. This is my Taylor Big Baby Dean Vendetta cheap 7-string Epiphone SG. I really like this guitar. It's totally different than my Les Paul. I write songs differently when I use it. I enjoy playing it quite a bit. It definitely draws out the Black Sabbath in me. And then this is my first real guitar. It's a 2004 Studio Les Paul. Recently had a fret job done to it, so it plays like a Cadillac drives. Back here's an Ensoniq ESQ1 and a Korg M1. Two very different synthesizers. I love the M1, but it's an acquired taste, so I don't get to use it on everything, but I have been known to make entire songs or EPs or whatever with just that. I like the drum sound on it too. I used the drum sound on an M1 on a black metal album I did recently. So, and then back here is my very first guitar, if I can reach it. I'll even dig this out. This is my very first guitar. I probably got this when I was 10 or 12. I don't know. It's a Washburn Lion. It feels so small and weird to hold it because I was small and weird. So, my first band, Trans Syndicate, named after the Butthole Surfers record label, Misfits. All my influences and early inspiration came from this junk guitar. One day I'll get a fret job done on it and write some songs with it. So that's the nutshell of Absolute Audio in a nutshell. If you have a project and you want to talk about me doing the music for it, get in touch. And I'm looking to do video games, YouTube videos, bumpers, and audio for film, you name it, whatever it is. Get in touch. Again, this is Luke, this is my studio, and later.